Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Man to Man Part, and today I'm going to review the movie Do Aur Do Pyaar. So this movie is about Vidya and Pratik Gandhi, who are extremely frustrated because you guys come to my channel, watch my videos and don't subscribe. So guys, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. If you're using your phones, it's basically at the bottom of your phone, the subscribe button. And if you're using your computer, then it's basically on the bottom right, the subscribe icon in this video. Click that and subscribe to my channel. So this movie has been directed by Shirsha Guha Thakurta, who primarily is an ad filmmaker, and this is her directorial debut in the feature film space. Now this film stars Vidya Balan, Pratik Gandhi, Ileana and Sendhil Ramamurthy, who is more prominent in the West, but you might remember him from Shore in the City. Now when the teaser trailer of this movie came out, I actually was quite intrigued by it. I thought it would be an interesting watch. So well, let's go ahead and take a look if this film was actually as interesting as its teasers, trailers and promos. So this movie is about Vidya Balan and Pratik Gandhi, who are a couple who have basically over time lost that zing in their relationship and now have begun to get into extramarital affairs. Vidya has an affair with Sendhil Ramamurthy, who basically is a photographer based in New York, who has moved to India now mainly for her. And Pratik Gandhi has an affair with Ileana, who is an aspiring actress. Now through the course of events, Vidya and Pratik end up at Vidya's ancestral or family home in Ooty, where they begin to rekindle the relationship and reminisce the old times. Now once they get back to Bombay, the film is their journey through what their life is like post this phase and what their extramarital relationships or affairs feel like after they're back to Bombay. So starting off, the movie has some great actors and everyone has portrayed the characters fairly well. The casting also is pretty spot on, and even the secondary actors act really well in this movie. Starting off with Vidya Balan, I think she's done a very good job portraying her role, and especially in the emotional scenes, she is terrific. Now speaking of Pratik Gandhi, he's done a very good job in this movie as well, but I had a problem with his performance and more so his character. Now his character has been shown as a Bengali person, and by no means does Pratik Gandhi come across as Bengali in this movie. In fact, his Gujarati accent actually stands out a lot more and is actually pretty prominent. Now, I have a problem over here with the overall direction because if you have a particular character in mind, then as a director, it's your job to have your actor portray it as closely as possible, right? And if you feel that your actor cannot portray that given character, it's up to you to tweak that character so that it seems believable and relatable to the audience. For example, if you want to cast Nawazuddin Siddiqui in a role of a South Delhi rich boy, then no matter how good an actor he is, it's not going to seem as convincing, right? So you have to work around the actor's positives and negatives to have the best performance come out. And unfortunately over here, I thought this was an issue. Also, what's a bigger issue is that there's no real reference or point of him being shown as a Bengali person over here. They could have very well shown him as a Gujarati person or just like kept the identity, the overall state identity undisclosed, and it would have been completely fine. There would have been no change in the portrayal of the story or the character whatsoever. Now Sendhil Ramamurthy and Ileana have done a very good job in this movie as well and seem convincing in their roles. Apart from the four of these actors, you only really have Vidya Balan's parents who are prominent in this movie, played by Thalai Basal Vijay and Rekha Kudligi. They've done a very good job portraying their respective parts as well. Now, there also were a lot of other elements I appreciated in this movie. So for example, when they show Vidya Balan and Pratik Gandhi arrive at Vidya's grandfather's funeral, they show everyone is dressed in white apart from the two of them. And this does a great job of basically showing the awkwardness and showing them feel out of place. The movie also does a very good job of tying back different elements, perspectives and dialogues throughout the movie. So for example, in the beginning, Vidya and Sendhil have a discussion on toothpaste, and Vidya tells him how a relationship is like a toothpaste which gets eventually squeezed out. And Sendhil tells her that a couple brushing their teeth in the morning together is the sexiest thing one can see. Later in the movie, when Vidya Balan and Pratik Gandhi are shown rekindling their love and their relationship, they are shown brushing together in a goofy way. Now there are multiple such sequences that tie back very well, and this was something I really appreciated in the movie. Also, one more thing I appreciated was the sequence where Vidya meets Ileana. Ileana comes to Vidya's clinic in this scene, and Vidya is trying to put her gloves on and is struggling to do so. At the same time, the sound of these gloves is amplified, and all of this is just done to amplify the tension that's about to be created. Also, the confrontation scenes between Vidya and her father in the first and second half of the movie are written and directed very well and seem very impactful. Now, all of this might seem like the writing in this movie is very, very good, but unfortunately, that's not the case, and I'm going to tell you more about it in the next section. So despite the positive writing elements mentioned earlier, the writing in this movie has a few problems as well. Starting off with the screenplay of this movie is very slow. Now I understand for most sequences you might need a slow screenplay to establish the world and to create the monotony of the characters, but this continues throughout the movie, and unfortunately the screenplay and direction of this movie is oftentimes slow and seems like a drag. Now I also found the writing in this movie to be very forced in certain sequences. So for example, in this one sequence in the beginning, they show that Pratik Gandhi and Vidya Balan are watching TV and Pratik Gandhi offers her ice cream, to which she says no because she's vegan. And to this he basically responds with, oh, you've got a problem with milk as well. And to this she goes, yes, vegans cannot have milk and milk-based products. And this whole convo just, goes on. And I feel this is so problematic because if you're a couple, let's say, no matter how detached you are, your wife is vegan. So just the fact that she might remind you that, hey, I'm vegan, is reason enough for you to just end the convo there. Just starting off a conversation like this where you're telling the audience that, oh, vegans cannot have milk and blah, 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 blah. Having it seem like it's the first time he's found out that she's vegan or something on those lines, making it seem overly forced just did not work for me. It didn't seem natural to me. Now the sequence where Pratik Gandhi and Vidya Balan go to Ooty for her grandfather's funeral, they basically show that Pratik ends up meeting Vidya's father and addresses her as Appa, then Uncle, then Papa, then Uncle Appa, eventually calling him Appam, gets awkward, and then basically goes on to say, oh, how is Tata? Tata basically in Tamil means grandfather, and her grandfather has just passed away and they are at his funeral. To all of this, Vidya's dad obviously loses it and says, he is still dead. And I just did not get the point of this scene. I don't know how, in what world or in what realm this scene is funny. It just is extremely distasteful and trying too hard to infuse comedy in whatever little track you've got in this movie. So this clearly did not work for me. In fact, the writers go a stretch beyond to make this seem funny, where in a later scene, Vidya teases Pratik about how she called her father by all these names, including Appam. I mean, guys, it's okay. A joke doesn't work, let it go. In fact, a lot of the jokes and situations they create in the first half don't seem that funny or endearing and oftentimes lead to a flat screenplay. This continues for pretty much the first half of the movie, which at least the first 40 minutes is very, very slow. Now this movie's second half does pick up pace, but again towards the end, towards a confrontation between Vidya and Pratik just ends up becoming slow as well, and you eventually are just waiting for this movie to reach its resolution and to end. The confrontation scene between Vidya and Pratik starts off really well, but soon becomes this long drawn sequence which ends up becoming pretty flat towards the end. If you want to see really great couples conflict scenes, then check out Revolutionary Road or Marriage Story. Now the movie is devoid of any background music for the most part, and whenever used, the music is oftentimes loopy and monotonous. Now this might work for some instances where your scenes are monotonous, but for the most part where you are trying to show a particular emotion or you want the audience to feel a certain way or emote with your characters, this oftentimes does not work, and in fact diminishes the scene or the feeling you're trying to portray. Now the movie has some minor flaws as well. For example, in this one sequence, Pratik Gandhi and Ileana are basically in a car and she's pissed off at him and she rams the brakes and stops the car. At this point, the camera is on her face and you hear the horns blaring in the background. Now when they cut to the two shot of Pratik Gandhi and Ileana, you basically see no cars immediately behind them. You just see cars far off in the distance. And lastly, what I found problematic with this movie is that it pretty much centers around these four characters and maybe to a certain extent Vidya Balan's parents. But apart from this, there's really no one shown in the lives of all these four characters. It just feels like they're completely dependent on one another and there's nothing else happening in their life. So overall, this movie seemed promising and made a good attempt to tell a story of a certain kind, but unfortunately could not do full justice to it and oftentimes ends up feeling like a drag. I'm giving it 2.75 out of 5. If you like this video, then please go ahead and like, share and subscribe to my channel. Please also drop in your comments on what you think about this video, and I'd love to interact with you. Thanks a lot for stopping by, and I'll see you very soon.